India's leading investigative agency, the NIA, has filed a charge sheet in the Kashmir terror funding case. 12 people have been named for conspiring to wage war against the government of India by carrying out terrorist and secessionist activities in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Lashkar-e-Toiba chief Hafiz Saeed's name figures at the top of this list. Sayyid Salahuddin, the head of the proscribed terror outfit Hizbul Mujahideen and chairman of the United Jihad Council, also features in the list. In a major development, the National Investigation Agency of India has filed a charge sheet in the Kashmir terror funding case. Global terrorist Hafiz Saeed has been named at the very top of the list of 12 people who have been named in this charge sheet. The charges are that these terrorists have been fomenting trouble in the state of Jammu and Kashmir by routing illicit money through various channels into the valley. The NIA had registered a case in this matter in May last year and has conducted over 60 raids in Jammu and Kashmir and other parts of India. They've seized over 1,000 papers and more than 600 electronic devices. Joining me on the broadcast is WION's Srinagar correspondent Khalid Shah. Good afternoon, Khalid. Indeed, a major development, the NIA finally filing a charge sheet in the Kashmir terror funding case. What more details can you share?
Well, yes, indeed, it's a big development. We had seen the unrest of 2016 in which for almost 6 months we saw Delhi shutting down. There were curfews, there were strikes. In fact, around 30 schools were burned down by separatist protesters. And now this charge sheet comes at a time when the situation in Kashmir is somewhat normal. But important here is that the charge sheet mentions very important figures of the separatist groups. The figures mentioned in these groups are Altaf Fantoosh, who's the man Friday of Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani. He's the one who looked after the funding of the Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani faction of Hurriyat, as well as Shahidul Islam or Aftab as his given name goes. He is someone who has been a very close associate of Mirwais Maulvi Farooq. Mirwais Maulvi Farooq, remember, runs the so-called moderate faction of Hurriyat Conference, but Shahidul Islam has also been involved in these activities of terror funding. He was indeed a very close aide of Mirwais. Apart from that, there are other 3 activists who have also been booked under this particular charge sheet, which include Peer Saifullah and Mehraj Talwar of Hurriyat Conference group. Pertinent to mention out here that the charge sheet also names Jamaat-ud-Dawa chief and the globally proscribed terrorist Hafiz Saeed and Sayyid Salahuddin, who is the head of United Jihad Council. Remember, United Jihad Council is an umbrella group of all the terror groups which are infiltrating into Kashmir. These are local terror groups like Hizbul Mujahideen, but he's also somewhat a head of Jaish-e-Mohammed, Harkatul Ansar and Jamaat-ud-Dawa as well. He's someone who's also been associated with terror-related activities here in Kashmir. He's been giving threats from across the border from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir regarding strikes in Kashmir, protests, and as well as threats given out to mainstream political leaders out here in Kashmir. It's important to mention that when the NIA began this investigation, there were multiple raids which were conducted in and across Jammu and Kashmir, and as well as some parts in national capital in Delhi and Jammu.
Right.
The mainstream political parties, particularly the PDP, was somewhat wanting the NIA to go slow on the case against Altaf Fantoosh, who they believe was the man who was willing to bow down or, in a sense, surrender. But the NIA didn't really listen to the PDP, which is ruling the government.
Absolutely. And also, Khalid, the fact that Hurriyat leaders have been named in this charge sheet, and now there has been always this assertion that there are elements within the Indian territory and on Indian soil who have been fomenting trouble in Kashmir in collusion with the people who have been trying to route money into India from Pakistan and other countries. How do you see this playing out, since the NIA has now charged several Hurriyat leaders, and they are also talking openly about the fact that Hurriyat connection is very much there?
Well, yes, indeed, the three top leaders of Hurriyat Conference, which is Saeed Ali Shah Gilani, Mirwais Maulvi Farooq and Yasin Malik. Remember, two of the close aides of Saeed Ali Shah Gilani are named in this charge sheet, which in a sense indicts Saeed Ali Shah Gilani as well. On the other hand, Mirwais's Man Friday has also been named in this charge sheet. JKLF, which is headed by Yasin Malik, has also Hilal Dar who has been named in this charge sheet. So clearly it shows that all the leaders of Hurriyat Conference are involved in this business of stoking violence in Kashmir. We have seen in 2016 how the violence panned out. Many civilians were killed, many business establishments were harmed in that particular unrest, which happened after the killing of Burhan Wani, the famous the terrorist leader of Hizbul Mujahideen. Now the Hurriyat is under the dock. They don't have much to do because now the charge sheet has been filed. But we have to wait and see whether this investigation will also include the top leaders of Hurriyat Conference, which is Saeed Ali Shah Gilani, Maulvi Mirwais Farooq and Yasin Malik, because they're the three figureheads of the separatist movement in Kashmir.